Welcome to Brick by Brick. Join me, Lauren Winnett, as I share my personal journey of building a thriving real estate and hard money lending business from the ground up. Along the way, we'll explore the strategies, challenges, and breakthroughs that come with growing wealth. Whether you're a seasoned investor or aspiring entrepreneur, or simply curious about the world of private lending and real estate, this podcast is packed with actionable insights, real-world stories, and mindset tips to help you build your own path to success brick by brick. Welcome to Brick by Brick. I'm your host, Lauren Winnett. Today we have Theresa Sage with us. Theresa is an innovator in the AI space, working with or owning a company that helps entrepreneurs use AI to handle cold calling, answer phones, and do a lot of things that a lot of us thought would always have to be by some kind of low-level employee within the company. And so, Theresa, I'm excited to have you with us today. I'm excited to talk about how you got to where you are, how you started your business, and some of the challenges and opportunities you see along the way. But, kind of before we get started, just tell me a little bit about you, how you got into where you are and who you are as a person.
Sure. So my name is Theresa Sage, and I've been in real estate and investing for 20 years here in the Phoenix market and have built 3 different real estate businesses. I had a real estate agent team. I did a wholesaling team, and then we also had a short sale company. So back when the market was crashing, we had a short sale company. And so I've kind of been in real estate all along. And then recently, I'd say about 6 months ago, pivoted again and decided that I was really wanting to get into this AI space. And after reading Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time, I really wanted to combine the concepts of creating more freedom in your life and in your business. And so I just kind of thought about how I would use AI to build a real estate company, investor side and agent side, and what that would look like. So yeah, I've been really focusing on that, and it's been really fun.
That's interesting. So tell me about the decision. So obviously with the wholesaling background, right? The need to answer phones and do all that is kind of embedded into you. But tell me about the decision of going from real estate to essentially tech startup to some extent, right? And how that transition happened, how you found the people or the knowledge to make that industry shift.
So throughout our company, I've always been kind of putting different pieces together. And I was like, okay, well, if I took real estate back in the day, I jumped into marketing, and I've always done our marketing. And so I was like, how do I do real estate and marketing back a long time ago? So I'm always putting different things together. And when I started the AI piece of it, it started off marketing. I created Get Sarah as a virtual assistant help for real estate agents and business owners. And I just got involved with this group that was doing AI. And it's really kind of transitioned since then, just educating myself from different people all over the world who brought in this technology. And I was like, well, this is going to be great for real estate. I don't know if that articulates it well, but that's kind of where I was at in regards to that.
So what were, like, when you first saw AI, like what was the spark, like, or the pain point that you remember from, or you are currently experiencing in your business that you said, like, this thing will make a huge impact and improve people's lives and improve customer service?
Oh, totally. So there's a kind of a couple of caveats to that. So like the first one was, when I read Dan Martell's book, was like, Buy Back Your Time. And he's like, the first thing you do to buy back your time is hire an assistant. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to start a whole new real estate company again. I'm going to get an assistant. So I got an assistant, and she didn't show up. So I had spent like a whole week prepping and doing, SOPs and getting her trained up. And then she doesn't show up. And I was like, oh my gosh, so frustrating. So then I got another assistant, and I was like, okay, maybe I just made a bad decision. So I got another gal, and she lasted a week. And I'm like, I'm not that bad of a person. And she didn't even show up after that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is kind of crazy. So I was like, this isn't really working for me. This whole I want to buy back my time. And I was like, I want an assistant, but yet they wouldn't show up, or they wouldn't quite perform the way I wanted them to. So that's where the AI kind of came in. I was like, well, I kind of need somebody answering the phones. I want to grow, and I want to provide great customer service. And I'm just not finding the staff or the employees to support that in a way that I wanted them to be supporting me. So
Yeah, it
that's where
makes
that all
total
came from.
sense.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
makes total sense. I think that's the struggle that a lot of people face, especially on their first few hires, right? You bring somebody on, think they're going to make your life so much better, and then for the first couple of weeks, they make your life worse because you've got to onboard them. And then if you don't have the ability to kind of let go, they continue to make your life harder because now you have all your things you were doing before, plus managing another person. So I think it's brilliant to try to bring on AI. I'm a huge proponent of AI. I use it for everything, not to maybe the extent that you are, but I use it in all kinds of different parts of my business, and well as automating a lot of different things because I can't stand clicking the same button twice. And so I try to automate as much as I possibly can. And I think everybody should,
I
right?
love it. I love it. Yeah. And it was funny because Get Sarah, the company, I named it after my assistant. So at first it was just an automation, like when automation and marketing came out. And I was like, oh my gosh, everybody needs a Sarah because she was, oh my gosh, she was amazing. She was organized and she was like so like great at her job. And I loved her. She was sweet. And I was like, oh, I just felt like I was like taken care of. Like she was the best assistant, right? I was like, oh my, everybody needs to get Sarah. Everybody needs a Sarah. And then she's like, oh, Theresa, I'm going to have to quit because I want to start a family. And I was like, no, don't leave me. And so I was like, but Sarah, we named our company after you. And she goes, I'm so sorry. So that's how it also morphed into like AI because like I had my beautiful assistant and she was like, I'm out.
That's good. I was curious how the name Get Sarah came from. I thought maybe it was one of your assistants that didn't show up, and you're like, oh, I got to get Sarah back in to show up to work. But that's a much better story. So I guess, can you tell me? So you made the decision to start this business, right? And then how did you find your partners? And then what did the build out process look like? And then eventually tell me, like, who are your customers that you're really targeting, and what are the big benefits that they see out of using Get Sarah in their organization?
Yeah, so there's three components that I'm looking at. I have a very small team right now because my AI agent's going to do everything. So we have an investor portion. So we like the wholesaling kind of portion that we looking for different motivated sellers. So I have a very targeted list for that. And we're looking for motivated sellers all over the Phoenix areas, very targeted. The second one is for real estate is we're also looking for listings. So as an investor agent, I also list properties and I have a team, I have a TC team, transaction coordination team that helps me on that end. And then the third component is since this is working so well for us, then I'm sharing it with other agents. So other agents and investor teams that are looking to automate their systems and use Get Sarah into their business, we're helping them integrate that. So it's been really fun. So I'll tell you, Lauren, it was really cool. When we were testing the system, we sent out a very small beta test for the motivated seller list. And this is what we used to do back in the day. And we set out our marketing. And I remember I was sitting there, my daughter, she's graduating high school, and we're sitting there and she's getting an accolade. She got an award for soccer. And we're sitting there and I looked down, my phone is just gave me a notification. Not that I'm supposed to be looking at my phone, but I just got like, hey, you just got a call. The AI receptionist answered it, blah, 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 on a notification. And I was like, this, I think, is one of the best nights of my life because here I am, my daughter's getting an award. She's just shining bright. I'm so excited for her. We're at this dinner celebrating her. And I look down and here is, I actually got it right here. That's funny. I get this notification. It goes to my email and everything of the whole conversation. And here Richard had called in. He has a house outside. It's a place called Cornville. And he had a 5.5 minute conversation with my AI agent and picked up. He was looking to sell. I got this marketing piece from Theresa, everything that he wanted. Like, why are you selling? Are you behind in payments? Are you in a financial situation? But like he answered everything. And I don't even think he knew it was an AI agent. Which is, we're not trying to deceive people. Somebody asks, yes, I am an AI receptionist. I'm here to help you. But I was like, oh my gosh, Richard needs help. He's like telling the AI agent, he's going on and on. He's like, I'm unfortunately, like, he's like, oh yeah, I've got some health problems. I have to move into Phoenix and he needs help. And so it was such a beautiful unfolding of things. It was like, I'm there with my daughter, my AI receptionist provided, 7 o'clock at night and like a conversation with somebody that was compassionate. And then Richard needs help. He needs help selling his house. And like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so like, I feel bad for him, but I'm here to help him sell his home. And so it was like a triple win. And I don't know. It was like, it was such a great feeling on all levels. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's impressive on a couple of different pieces. You've got your business to a point where that AI agent can answer the phone for you and someone can talk to them for 5.5 minutes and not really know that it's not a person, right? I think that's an incredible piece of technology. I think the ability to allow your actual employees to live lives outside of answering the phones and weird hours, and be able to service your customers really, really well at any point in time, right? And it's probably at a better, more quality standard, more consistent standard. And all that's captured into your system as notes and or whatever else that can be referenced back, can be used in your CRM, can be used for follow-up. I mean, it's extremely, extremely powerful on just about, I mean, as a business owner, now you have, you pay for one agent. I don't know I have a rough idea what the cost is, but they'll pay for one agent. And now it covers, hours and hours and hours and hours of phone calls versus constantly hiring a new person, having to train them, retrain them, adjust all these things. So I think it's a really interesting thing that's happening in your space. And I think it's going to have massive implications across a lot of different sectors, across a lot of different industries.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're looking at, as real estate, right? There's a lot of things that are going on in regards to like how you can really use this, And so for us, we're like, okay, so let's just say you're listing a home and you have a sign in the yard. How many people answer their phone with that sign call? I would say like maybe 5% of people like actually answer the phone. So now we're training our AI agents per property. So somebody comes in, calls that sign, you have an immediate conversation. You have this warm, welcoming experience. You're not losing that opportunity. That opportunity could be worth thousands and thousands of dollars in a commission. And here's the coolest thing. So we're testing our AI, like our buyer sign, and we trained our agent and it was like, ooh, that price is too high, for a buyer driving up. Oh, that price is a little too high. Well, guess what? The AI agent's like, well, what price do you want? What are you looking for? You know what I mean? So then you get this pre-qualification conversation going on that you're creating. I feel like you're creating more of like a instant. It's a great way. Like a customer experience, right?
Yeah, and people feel heard, right? It's not just a
Yes,
one-way conversation anymore.
that's what I'm
They're
trying to say.
feeling heard about what their needs are. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So we're doing that, which is really fun. In the rentals, if you have a rental portfolio, you're looking for people for as an investor. We have rentals looking for people. They get answered, send them a application. There's so many uses that we're playing with, which is really fun.
Yeah, I had a conversation with somebody last week on the podcast, and they basically help with optimization of revenue in short-term rentals, and was talking about AI. And the comment I made then, and I still believe this, is that it has huge impacts, could have huge impacts on property management. Because you think about as a tenant, a leak happens. If I have a question, the office is only open from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And often, if you know anything about property managers, up until noon on Friday, that's it. Right. And so having an AI that could answer the phone and answer questions about their specific lease, right? Pull that up out of the database, answer it, call and connect them with the maintenance guy, could call, there's a ton of different applications there. And it takes your actual people, that takes them out of those low value jobs and lets them focus on the things that actually add value to your business.
Oh my gosh. So true. So true. Yes.
Yes, to all of I said. I love it when no one disagrees with me. It's great.
Well, honestly, and this is like applicable to any business, right? Like we're changing the AI so fast, but we're changing the landscape of the way business is being done. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, if you're not integrating kind of this you're not, I think people think about it as, ooh, AI feels less personal, when in actual fact, you're actually enhancing your business. Like you said, Lauren, you're like, people feel heard and answered. Would you rather not answer the phone, go to voicemail, sit on that, like, have you called your doctor's office or Verizon? Push one, right?
Painful,
There,
painful,
exactly, right?
painful. Well, it's like
Yeah.
a huge complaint that people get with realtors too, right? You call their phone number. And I know as a real estate investor, when I would try to call listing agents, you call them, you text them, they never called you back. Or if they did call you back, they would, not know what you're talking about or all kinds of things. And so having that level between you and them, gives them more freedom that they will only talk to the people that are actually qualified buyers that are trying to do something, and so they're better use of their time. And if all I want to know is what's the price of this house, that can be answered by someone that's not living and breathing but has that data in front of them, right? And probably connected to that person's, that realtor's calendar, and can put a meeting on my calendar and their calendar all in one swell swoop to actually put a qualified buyer or seller in front of someone. And so it's a huge time production optimization tool. And we're just getting started on it, in my opinion.
So exciting. So exciting.
So okay, you're using it for realtors. You're using it for your other two things. Where is the business headed? Where are you expanding, or where do you see it expanding? And then, I think I also want to just touch back in like where you are exploring currently in your business with how to grow it or use it more effectively.
Yeah. So right now, what we're doing is we're having the AI agents in place for people to maximize their listing, their buyer calls, and everything else in regards to real estate agents. In regards to real estate investors, we're helping wholesalers, investors, like looking for motivation, like looking for the motivation on that side. So we're helping those two areas. We are actually targeting specifically Arizona, certain zip codes that we're implementing in my own like investing agent investor business right now. So we're working on this campaign, which I'm very excited about because agents and investor needs leads. Right. And so, yeah, it's great to have this whole team, but if you don't have any leads coming in, then that doesn't help you. Right. So, are now working on a listing campaign for real estate agents to get more listings. And I've already got like the motivated seller campaigns dialed in, like that I can do in my sleep. That's super easy. So that's already in place. And it's just a matter of getting the word out, working with people that, I only want to work with people that have a good heart and that, do good things. Because when Richard calls in and he really needs help and he's in a bit of a pickle, I want to make sure we're working with people that are, do the right things. So that's kind of our main thing. And honestly, long term, we are constantly, we have a full team that works with the technology that's always getting better and better and better. Like we just added on a Spanish component. And as the technology evolves, obviously it's kind of newer. We're always upgrading and getting better. Honestly, Lauren, I don't know how it's going to look in a year, but what I wanted to put in place right now today was how you as an investor or an agent can optimize your business right now today, right? Using these tools and technology. And I wanted to put more freedom, more time, more revenue back in your pocket without going down this like AI, I don't know about you, but like this AI rabbit hole. You could spend like 6 months and like, but I wanted like a tangible, this is what we're going to implement into your business. This is how it's going to, get you ROI on your business.
So so as someone that's just coming in, right? They've never used AI really besides maybe Chat GPT to look up a recipe. What is like the onboarding process and what does it look like to customize it kind of to your business? Because everybody's business is a little bit different. And so I assume there's some level of training that has to happen with the agent so that they're not just saying like, oh, this is so-and-so, and that you add your company name into some text and that's all the changes you need. But like, what's the training look like? So it matches not only the persona, but the programs and the offerings that you have as a company.
Yeah. So initially they would hop on a call with me and then we talk about kind of what your goals are, right? Like where your business is at, what your goals are, what you want to use the receptionists and AI agents for, if you need leads, if you don't need leads, what that all kind of looks like. And then once we have that in place, we have a full onboarding team that puts, because there's a little bit of technical aspect to this, obviously. So I have my tech guys set that up. And I also want to know, like, do you have a CRM? How do you want that connected with your CRM, right? Because we want to make sure that it's fluid, that if you already have a system in place, that everything's kind of seamless and rolls through everything. So we have a full onboarding team, we have a full tech team, we have a full kind of customer service team. And then the main thing is, like I said, we want to look at your goals and what you want to accomplish. Then we do a game plan, get the onboarding, and then we do the training, right? So the training of your agents, because you, Lauren, might want a guy in Australia, as your AI agent. I might want a female. I want more like a sweet Sarah, So then we kind of tailor how you want your agent, what that script kind of sounds like, what what you want to gather from the people. And then we test it we don't turn it on until you're happy with your agent. We also need to know, like, hey, do you want to be text? Do you want an email? Do you want like your lead to go in your system? Like, there's a lot of little things that kind of need to be set up that maybe people don't think about, that we want to make sure we dot the I's and cross the T's so that you are getting the maximum, out of your AI employee team.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, like when in that, I'm sure there's some sort of like feedback loop. Like, okay, you've done 80% of the training. Like, what does that feedback loop look like to, like, I don't like it that it says this. I wish it said that. And is there like A/B testing to, oh, I want to try, female Sarah against, Philip, who's a 37-year or 45-year-old white male, that type of voice, because you got different demographics of customers and they might, click with one over another.
Yeah. So right now, as it stands, you can have as many test agents as you want. You can test as many as you want, but we set up different phone numbers. So like how I look at it is like, I have an agent to bring in motivated sellers. So I look at the kind of like what the job is and train it that way. And so I could have a man or a woman, and then the different job would be like, I have a different job for another agent, which is like answering for a particular property, right? So every agent kind of has a job, and then you can change, like you said, you can change it up if you want a guy or a girl or you want this, but you kind of have to think about it as each job has a phone number and an agent, and then you kind of set it up based on that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense. The voice isn't really the determining factor, right? It's what training you're giving it, and then you're just adjusting the voice based on the job, but it's each individual line. That makes sense to me.
Well, also too, the tone, right? Like, I train all my agents very compassionate, very, they're warm, they're friendly, they're not necessarily like, you can have a more salesy, depending on your vibe, how you want to come across or how your company wants to come across. You can train it kind of on the vibe of your particular company. Yeah.
So you're talking to other realtors and or other buyers or sellers, you're very sweet. And then you have to call appraisers or lenders, and then you have the nasty one, call them and talk to them.
They need love too.
Yeah. As a lender, I understand.
Yeah. Lenders and appraisers need love too. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So let's say that I'm not a realtor or property manager or someone that's in your core demographic, but I want to, play with this or try this as a receptionist for my business. Case in point, while I had this phone call, I've had 2 other phone calls come in that are leads, that are potential customers. No one answered those phone calls. Those went to voicemail, and I'll deal with those later. But as a lender, like, it's not your core group of demographics. Is that something that you have a meeting with the people and you can try to fit something in? Or is that hey, we don't serve your current demographic, let's, talk in 6 months. I mean, everything's going to be different in 6 months and everything will be really different in 2 years. Like, what does that look like? Are you really focused in on those specific jobs?
Yeah. So like lender, I feel like it's pretty close to real estate. So that, as long as you know what questions you want, what the tone is, like, you know what I mean? Like, essentially you got to think about it like, if you were to train an employee, this is kind of the script you follow. These are the questions you need to answer. This is the information I need to gather and go from there. It's the same thing. I may not know what you need as a lender, but you do. So we would sit down and tailor a script, and obviously with chat and everything, that's easy if you need the basics. But I would think, Lauren, that you would know your business better than anybody else. And so you're like, okay, Theresa, I want it to say this. I want to gather this information. I want to know this. I want to know when they need the loan. I need them to do this, this, and this, you know? So yeah, we can set it up that way. Yeah, no problem.
So basically, documents you already have created, SOPs, scripts, that stuff gets loaded in, and then you configure it based on what you're trying to accomplish. So for people that are looking at doing this, it's not a lot of document creation that they probably don't already have. It's a lot of the same stuff, just with a different flair. Now, I know that like for myself, when I create SOPs, and I know Dan's talked about this in Martel's group, but I record what I do on Loom, and then I drop it into ChatGPT, get that to create me SOP, and then I adjust. Is there any risk of like just too much AI where you're using AI to create documents, and then you're feeding those AI created documents into an AI that's going to talk to people, that's then going to create information that's going to go back to your CRM, which then you use to adjust your SOPs?
Well, at least right now, I try to keep things simple because I feel like sometimes, like, I've had people were like, oh, look at my like super deluxe like workflow, da 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 da, and I'm like, and then something breaks, and then it's like, well, your whole thing falls apart, and then it's like, and then your AI agent is like fighting with another AI agent. It just loops. You know what I mean? Personally, I think initially I like to keep things simple and like really make sure you get comfortable with the technology before we add all the bells and whistles. But effective like customer service is the most important, right?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
In your experience, like what are the 2 or 3 most common mistakes people are making with AI, whether that's with Getsera or any other AI agent or tool that they're using? And what do you recommend to help all of us use AI kind of more effectively?
I think you totally nailed it, Lauren. I think people jump into something that's super complex, or maybe are using things that aren't really like giving them ROI, you know, but are like almost creating more chaos. Dan talks about that. We're going to go create a bunch of chaos in our lives. And I'm really like scaling. I'm like, we're going to do things very simply, right? Right now, we're going to have lead gen go out. We're going to get calls coming in, and you're going to get appointments set. Like that's the basics, right? And then we can go from there. If those are the 3 things to get you going to grow and scale your business, and guess what? You can be at your daughter's soccer banquet and get that lead coming in and have your customer feel supported. Like awesome, awesome sauce, right? So yeah, I think honestly, I feel like simplicity, but yet effectiveness is super important right now. And I don't know what other people are doing. We're just super focused on laser focused on our clients and creating this awesomeness.
That's awesome. Yeah,
You can feel
I
supported. Here you go.
that's
Sarah's here
right.
to support you and love on you.
That's right. I suffer from doing things too. Like I think, let me take a step back. I think that as entrepreneurs, I think a lot of times we see what other people are doing, or we see what the options are, and we think that immediately we have to go do version 4.2 or 4.0 right off the bat. And you miss something in transitioning from point 1 to point 2 to point 3, because now you don't know how all the systems work. You've optimized yourself to the point where if anything breaks, you don't know how to go back and fix it. And if you want to shift and change things and you have to rebuild, you have to start all over again, because you don't have the core competencies to build it from the ground up again. And so I struggle with this sometimes too, where I want to just automate as much as I possibly can. And part of that is because I want to keep my team extremely, extremely lean. But then, I want to pull my hair out when one webhook breaks and the whole thing crumbles. And I have to go, because I don't have systems in place to monitor all of those connections. And so I got to go find where that one thing is broken. And, sometimes it's just re-signing into something, but it can chew up a couple hours of time trying to work through the web flows to make things work again. So,
Yeah.
so I totally get what you're saying. That's awesome. So I want to take a little bit of a step back. So AI Getsera is great. I want to talk a little bit about you. Like, I want to talk about how you got into being an entrepreneur and like what that journey looked like, right? You had several businesses. You obviously started a great company with Getsera. Like, where did it all start? Like, how did we go from, some girl in high school to now this entrepreneur mogul that has run all these businesses and has got involved in AI? Like, what was that step from normal person to entrepreneur?
Okay, I don't think I've ever been a normal person.
Normal's relative. Normal's relative.
Yeah. Like when I was in high school, I grew up in Northern Canada. When I was in high school, I was reading business books and like my girlfriends were thought I was like really off because they were like looking at fashion magazines and like buying shoes and I couldn't care less about shoes. I was looking at like how do I improve myself and how do I like build a business. So yeah, so I think honestly this has kind of been I was born into like entrepreneurship, but I see where did I start? Well, I've been a financial advisor for Merrill Lynch and then I left the financial world and started a hedge fund and that kind of went a little sideways because our fund manager anyway, so this was kind of interesting, Lauren. After that didn't work out so hot and we returned our investors' money and everything, took a job randomly at a self-directed IRA custodian. At the time, it was called Entrust IRA. And I was sitting there and it was kind of funny when you see like when you look back on your life, like the little paths that led you to where you were at. And I remember it was just this brand new startup. And at the time, I didn't even know self-directed IRAs existed. And what was so cool was one, it was new to me. And two, I got to learn how to put together deals. So I was sitting there, I was like, holy cow, these guys just like put together all these deals under this like self-directed IRA and this was a structure. And I was like, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, right? Like, what do you mean I don't need a bank loan? I can actually like use my IRA to like build wealth. This is the coolest thing after coming from the financial world of like, oh, it's just stocks and bonds. So I was super grateful for that year of learning how to structure deals. And so after that, my to be husband at the time, he started getting into real estate and he started knocking on doors. And he was like, oh my gosh, like we're doing this foreclosure thing. And it was like, huh, that's really cool. And he's like, the guy who was teaching him drove up the first day in like a Honda Accord. And then after working with him, like after doing a few deals, then he drove up in a Mercedes. And then he's like, he just drove up with then he drove up with a Mercedes E-Class. And he's like, I'm thinking he's making a lot more money than I am right now. And I'm like, well, I know how to raise capital. I know how like to put together the deals. You obviously can get deals because he was bringing this guy deals. And we're like, well, let's do it. Let's, jump off the deep end. And he would, I would structure everything and put together the lead gen and all the marketing, and he would go out and get the deals. And so we did that and built, like I said, a number of businesses. And yeah, so
it's awesome. It's funny how just those little tweaks and little things that you run into in life can like reshape your whole like trajectory, right? Because you probably wouldn't be doing this if you hadn't done that, and if you hadn't done the IRA thing, then you wouldn't have done that. And it's just I can backtrack where I am today all the way back to going to a tailgate at a Michigan State football game in 2006. So like just like the people that you meet along the way and some decisions that a couple of decisions here and there, and it's led me all the way from there to where I am today. And you miss one of those connections and all of it falls apart, and it's just funny.
Right? My gosh, I love it. Oh, I'd love to hear that story sometime.
It's a long convoluted story with a bunch of people's names that you wouldn't know. But yeah, so I always like to ask my guests kind of two questions here towards the end of the podcast. The first is, if you, knowing what you know today, could go back to talk to yourself when you are like 19 or 20, or if you, knowing what you know today, could reach ahead and talk to your daughter when she's 19 or 20, what advice would you give that person?
Ooh, that's juicy. My 20-year-old self was a mess. So I would say it's going to be okay. You got this. Like, yeah, there was quite a journey. You got this. Everything's going to work out. Just relax.
I think that's a great answer, personally.
Yeah, you got it.
Who is 20 and isn't a mess at some point, right? Mixed with all kinds of insecurities. You don't know what you're doing with your life. The world expects a certain level from you that you can't give yet. And you're so young that everything seems like it's the worst thing in the whole world, right? And then you get 20 years down the road, and something that seemed like a massive tragedy is a Tuesday. I think that's great advice. I think the challenge is when you're 20 is taking that advice, right? And having the perspective to say, yes, it will be okay. I can get through this because I have gotten through all the other things for the last 20 years. All right. And then the last question I always ask, and this is all probably more for my benefit than anybody else's, is, you have a family. You obviously are good at starting businesses and running businesses. Those are massive pushes against each other, right? Trying to be a good mother, a good spouse, a good business owner. How have you managed, other than using AI, how have you managed that balance of being a good spouse, mother, whatever, and a good business owner to drive your business and be there for your family?
Well, honestly, Lauren, that was one of the reasons why I know you're like, don't use AI, but that was really one of the reasons why I wanted to implement AI into this, to have an enhanced customer experience, but to enhance my own life. Like I said, I was sitting at my daughter's banquet and having calls come in, and that was it. But the second part of that, I think that's so important, and this is way off base, is I think it's really important to connect with your heart and make a positive impact in people's lives. Like, I love to see helping people succeed in their life in regards to their businesses and helping them transform their businesses and their lives. But at the end of the day, what does it all mean, right? How can I positively impact you? How can I, positively impact my kids? How can I, be present in that energy? You call it God, whatever. But I want to make sure Richard's taken care of. I want to make sure Lauren's taken care of if he, implements AI in your business. I want to make sure my daughter's taken care of. But at the end of the day, what impact do you want to leave in this world? And I feel like what's in your heart, right? What's your purpose? What's your passion to really serve the world in a positive way?
So what is your passion? How do you want to leave the world?
Love. It doesn't matter if I'm helping a real estate agent mom effectively get back her time. And, I've talked to a couple single moms who are, have a couple kids, affecting her in a positive way. It doesn't matter if I'm doing that, or for me, as long as I make a positive impact in one person's life or 100,000 people's lives, it doesn't matter. Right? Whatever it unfolds to be, I'm just here to help. I don't know if that, you know what I mean? That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, your goal is to leave things better than you found them. And if it impacts one person or 1,000, that's still an impact,
Yeah.
right?
Totally. Totally.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. I'm just going with, I'm just open to go where I'm supposed to go.
It's funny. So many entrepreneurs, at least the successful ones, have kind of a similar ethos of, I don't, it's not a net zero game, right? That's, one of my main mantras is a rising tide lifts all ships. I don't have to get something out of every transaction, but I need to make sure that I'm helping as much as I can, and everything else will happen, on its own. So I love that. This has been awesome. I've super enjoyed talking to you. If people want to reach out, learn about Get Sarah, talk to you, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Sure. If they will follow me on Instagram, it's Theresa, Theresa, Sage, AZ. And if they want I have a free ebook that they can download, how to use the AI in their business. So I would definitely love to send that to them. So
awesome. So everybody should go and follow Theresa Sage, AZ, on Instagram. And then you want them just to DM you something to get the ebook?
Yeah. DM me, Lauren, AI employee.
There you go. You're going to get all kinds of spellings of Lauren. So just so you know.
Okay. Yeah. AI employee, and then I'll know to shoot that over to them.
Perfect. So everybody should go do that. Follow Theresa. It was a pleasure. I will make sure all of your contact information is in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in to Brick by Brick Wealth Building Conversations. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It helps more people find the show. For more tips, resources, and updates on my journey, follow me on Invest with Lauren. Let's keep building wealth, one brick at a time. See you next week.